Good evening and welcome to News Review. The Court of Appeal in London has given leave for the Spanish construction company OHL to pursue an appeal against the Gibraltar government. This follows the termination of OHL's contract for the airport tunnel in 2011 by the previous administration. The government is confident that the appeal will not succeed.
In April last year, the Technology and Construction Court ordered that OHL pay the government the completion cost of the project, potentially the largest claim for damages in Gibraltar's history. The Chief Minister also said then that the government intended to recover legal costs. In a statement, Number 6 has clarified that OHL's initial application for leave to appeal was refused by the trial judge, but that later in the year the Court of Appeal granted permission, subject to certain warnings. The government says OHL was specifically warned that the Court of Appeal would not be drawn into reviewing findings of fact. It adds that given that the judgment was largely based on findings of fact in its favour, it's been advised and is confident that the appeal is extremely unlikely to overturn or affect the judgment of the Technology and Construction Court. OHL applied for a stay of proceedings pending the appeal, but this was not granted. The appeal is due to be heard in May this year, with the final assessment of damages set for February 2016.
Also this week, former Police Commissioner Louis Wink expressed his willingness to stand as a candidate with the GSD at the next general election, but says it's up to the party executive. In a press conference to announce his joining the GSD, Mr. Wink described Gibraltar as an affluent and safe society and said he's keen to help ensure that's not put at risk.
After a career in the Royal Gibraltar Police spanning over 30 years and culminating in his retirement as Commissioner in 2012, Louis Wink is entering politics. Today he said the GSD's response to the challenges of the 1990s and early 2000s showed it has Gibraltar's best interests at heart.
The main issue that people are concerned about is the sustainability of everything that is nice and it's been done right at the moment. Whether we can sustain that into the future for that, so that the children and our grandchildren can inherit it. I compare Gibraltar now as a shop window, very nice shop window, very nice things, but we don't know what's happening, in the back of that shop window. It may be that nothing is happening and we are enjoying a prosperity that will be sustained. But that is the question. There are other concerns that also, concerns, our community and like the fishing dispute that we are presently thrown in, I share some concerns there as well.
The British Prime Minister was this week accused of using Gibraltar as a pawn in EU negotiations by the chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Overseas Territories. Andrew Rosendale said people would not stand for Britain negotiating the rights of its citizens to appease Brussels and Madrid.
UK newspaper The Express quotes Andrew Rosendale MP as claiming the Foreign Office does not want to upset Spain, a decision, he says, that's tied in with what he calls Britain's wheeling and dealing over the EU. This after a debate in the House of Commons last week, which saw a number of MPs, including Mr Rosendale, call for the UK to take firmer action over the rock. In his comments since the debate, Andrew Rosendale said it would not be acceptable for reform of the EU to mean sacrificing the rights and freedoms of British citizens. The Express also quotes Bob Stewart MP on the question of incursions and his response to Europe Minister David Lidington's argument that some actions may make the situation worse for Gibraltarians. Mr Stewart accuses the Foreign Office of failing to understand that deterrence is in the mind, adding that size matters when you send a 16-foot launch in response to a Spanish warship. One MP is quoted claiming that in a private meeting, Mr Lidington made it clear he was genuinely frustrated over the issue, adding it's obvious his hands are tied.
The first phase of works on the Spanish side of the frontier is expected to be completed by the end of the summer. This phase has required an investment of €150,000. It aims to improve the flow of traffic in and out of Gibraltar, including at the commercial gate and for coaches and pedestrians. The improvements will consist of 4 lanes into Gibraltar and extra checkpoints. The works are also designed to provide the officers at the frontier with improved facilities. Areas for confiscated vehicles are being built, as well as a garage to house the mobile vehicle scanner. 7 other phases are planned, with works envisaged to be completed by the end of next year. The European Commission has reiterated that works being carried out on the east side do not contravene EU directives. This follows further complaints by Spain and calls for the Commission to revisit them.
In the past, Spain has complained about the east side reclamation, and the subject was again raised by a Spanish MEP. In response, the Commission said all representations from both Britain and Spain had been evaluated. It added that from the evidence presented, it's been unable to find any infringements of environmental legislation. The recently appointed EU Commissioner for the Environment, Carmenu Vela, said there was no proof that toxic matter had been used for the reclamation. The representative of the Spanish party Unión Progreso y Democracia, Fernando Maura, had argued that this may be the case, seeing as the materials used did not come from Spain because Spain had imposed a ban across the frontier. For its part, the Spanish environmental group Verdemar Ecologistas en Acción says it's reinforced its claim and has supplied the EU with further information that it claims proves that EU directives are being violated. It claims to have studied the environmental impact in depth and has concluded the directives relating to the negative effects of the project and to the protection of flora and fauna have been infringed. The group claims the presence of a particular mollusk has not been included in the environmental impact assessment, even though it forms part of the Habitats Directive and is found in the area. The lack of underwater studies, it says, invalidates the conclusion that there are no negative repercussions.
A European programme for the use of structural funds in Gibraltar has been approved by the Commission. Funding in the form of grants aims to stimulate economic development. The programme for the next 6 years will be launched at Grand Bastion House next Wednesday, and the public is invited to attend.
The EU makes funds available to assist small and medium enterprises and help them expand their businesses and therefore create sustainable employment. The Gibraltar Operational Programme for the European Regional Development Fund covers funding for the next 6 years. Funds will be concentrated in the 2 of the Commission's thematic objectives: enhancing the competitiveness of small and medium enterprises and supporting the shift towards a low-carbon economy in all sectors. The encouragement of the use of alternative renewable energy sources and schemes which meet EU objectives are of particular importance, as they would otherwise require considerable investment. Grants are available for applicants who fulfil the eligibility criteria under these objectives.
And we'll be back with more. Welcome back. The Gibraltar Health Authority is looking to learn more about the health of adult Gibraltarians and compare it to statistics from a few years ago by commissioning its second Health and Lifestyle Survey. The survey will be carried out by copyright and is expected to be published by the end of 2015.
The last Health and Lifestyle Survey was carried out in 2008 and gave the government of the day a detailed assessment of the health of the adult population. In last year's budget, the Health Minister committed himself to carrying out a new survey to assess how things have changed in the last 7 years. The Director of Public Health says he's excited about the project and said it was very good news that a small community like Gibraltar was able to carry out another survey like this one so soon after the last one.
These opportunities come very rarely, and I'm extremely pleased that we've been given the opportunity to have the survey again. The advantage in doing the survey would be not only to get a snapshot of our health as it is now, today, but also to be able to compare it with the results of the survey that we did 5 years ago, so to see what changes have happened since then and what the trends are.
The health minister says he's keen to learn how government policies have affected the health of the people in Gibraltar and hopes to devise new policies based on the information gathered in the survey.
Well, the only way we can improve the health service is to know what it is that we have to do. And the feedback we get from our patients, clearly, from our staff, but also having a set of information on what the health of the community is, what people's lifestyle is, and the levels of different kinds of conditions will help inform any decisions that we might take in the future to see what direction we have to go, what do we have to concentrate in, what health promotion initiatives do we really need to push. So it really gives us a base from which to work, and I'm very much looking forward to the results.
The last survey, we found that over 60% of adults in Gibraltar were either overweight or obese. We found that the smoking level was 29% in our population, which was worse than that of the UK or other countries, comparable countries. So from these points of view, we hope that the habits of our population have moved in the direction that we hoped.
A team of surveyors led by Copyright will be carrying out door-to-door questionnaires based on a random sample from the electoral register, and will be asking people questions on, among other things, diet, alcohol and tobacco, exercise and general lifestyle.
They actually call on the residents, because from the electoral roll you basically just have the name and the address. So they turn up at the residence, obviously with their identification, and try and make contact with the person. If they're not in, they do a call back. And after subsequent occasions, obviously they can ask the neighbour, maybe the person's moved house, maybe, for instance, they may be deceased, or there's another person living at that property. So they don't survey that person, they still have to put that down as a no answer.
The government aims to publish the results of the survey before the end of the year.